This Let's Play was supported by these awesome hobby companies.
Hello everybody and welcome to Let's Play Rome and Roll. I am in the studio today with Jerry.
Hello.
And okay, so a little bit of a clarification at the start of this video. There is a new expansion for this game coming to Kickstarter, but myself and Jerry wanted to sit down and actually play the base game first before we show off the additional components that are coming into the game. Because, I don't know, for me, whenever an expansion comes out, I like to know the base game first.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense, especially where you can play solo, you can play 2-player, you can play up to 4.
Yeah.
And whenever you're doing any of those, the mechanics can change within the game itself. So before you start adding extra layers on top, I suppose.
Yeah, it's good to have that good base grounding so that you can understand what's being added and why it's being added. So, to begin with, myself and Jerry are playing a couple of, well-to-do Roman citizens after a horrendous fire that happened in Rome in 60-something AD.
Could be.
It says at the very start of the book in the little overview.
Was Nero fiddling?
Nero may have been fiddling.
So 64 AD. Great fire destroys the city, and each player takes on the role of an influential figure in recovering the city and attempting to rebuild.
So I will be taking on the role of a Mercatrix. So each of our characters is slightly different to each other. So depending on who we're playing, our Nero cards will be able to be drawn at different levels. So say it was for my buildings, Jerry. So if I get 7 buildings, I'll get to grab a Nero card. If you build 8 buildings, you'll get to get one. So there's some slight tweaks and changes between them. We also have a set of 3 advisors who we can bribe to actually get some extra abilities through the game. We've got 6 actions that we can take during our turns. And the whole game is based around drafting from these dice. Now, depending on how many players you're playing with, will change the number of the dice that's in the pool. Every round, each player should have 2 dice after they're done drafting. We've also got our main board here. Myself and Jerry, we have our little overseer tokens in the middle here.
Yeah, lurking in the forum, in amongst the hills of Rome.
So the coloured segments here are the 7 hills of Rome, where you can build certain things on hills. You can't build across hills, and the white squares, I believe they're just the marshland of Rome. So there are some of the buildings along the top here that you can only build completely in marshland, or if it's like a temple, it has to be built on a hill, and you can only have 1 per hill. The board is double-sided, so we're playing on the smaller 2-player side. And one of the key things is you're going to be working with dry erase markers on this. So we'll be tracking what we're storing, what influence we've gathered, what our legacy is. So legacy is whenever we're building some of the roads and stuff into the different regions of Rome. We'll also be tracking how many buildings we've done and how many places we have conquered. We've also got our legions on here. So how many legions have we raised and are ready to go out and, fight for the glory of Rome. We've got some senators here as well, which we can use to actually grab dice quicker from the pool whenever it's rolled. Also, down the bottom, if we build temples, we've got 3 of the gods out here. So we've got Jupiter, Mercury, and Mars. Each will grant an ability after you've built a shrine, but we'll see how that works during the game. So it does feel like there's quite a bit to this game, but once you're into it, you'll see how the mechanics work and interplay with each other, and it's really quite simple.
I'm glad you said that.
Well, I think that. I could be wrong. I could always be wrong.
Well, there's one way to find out, is to get stuck in. So who starts?
Well, I'll tell you what, Jerry, I will let you be pro-counsel for this first
Okay.
round.
So I am Patricia, the noble matron of an ancient family, great at manipulating the dice to their whim, and starts with extra loyalty. So that's nice.
Yeah. So I'm guessing it must be a name then. So I'm Mercatrix, or a Mercatrix, a powerful foreign trader, an expert in amassing cloth and coins. I start with additional resources. So I've got some extra wood and an extra fish. I brought lunch.
So let's get stuck in and see where we go. Our survey says...
Yeah. So the dice generate our resources for the round.
You can ignore the numbers. They're only if you're playing solo. So, on that note, what do I want to do? building would be great. I would love to build right off the bat. And I could potentially build something right off the bat. So potentially, I'm going to take this dice with some brick and a builder attached.
Okay. So for myself, what would I like to do? So there's lots of resources on here. There's some jewelry and stuff on here. There's also auxilia, but we don't really have anything by way of legions just yet. So I think the wisest thing for me to do is to take a builder card, which has a little extra resource on it. Jerry now gets to pick a second dice.
Okay. I'm going to stock up on resources.
Yep. For myself, I am going to be cheeky, and I will take the red die. Now, each set of dices have different faces on them, so if I'm clever, I can call this up. So these are the different faces that are on them. And then you've got a handy dandy little sheet that's showing you all of the different types of resources, types of workers, other things, and then you've got all of your victory condition and additional rules on here. So if you need a quick reference and you're playing 2-player, super handy. If not, just flip over your character sheet. Be careful not to wipe off your dry erase marker. Right.
Okay.
So you get to take the first action, Jerry?
I do. So the first thing you do is move your overseer, foreman.
Optionally.
But they have to move before you do any constructing.
Yes, if you're taking the construct action.
Yeah. So at the moment I am in the forum. Everything is adjacent to me. So I can actually just nip off and build. Now, I believe you have to move through buildings. So I'm going to head towards Capitolinus. And I'm going to build a shrine. So I'll put my little fellow there. It will cost me 2 brick. So I have a brick here, and I also have a brick that I came with.
Yeah, so one of the key things is you have only the resources on the dice that you are discarding for your action, or what's in your storage yard.
So I will discard there,
Uh-huh.
and I will build a shrine, and the shrine is a
2
2x1.
squares. Yep, and it has to be completely on a hill.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Shrine. Now, has to be entirely on a hill, but I gain a god's favour as soon as I build that.
Yes.
Right out of the gate.
So, what do each of the gods do for us?
So Jupiter. Jupiter allows me to take a different action with the same die. So if you have something like red where it's got, jewelry, auxiliary, and raise a legion, you could raise a legion and then also use the auxiliary point on it. Or,
Well, the auxiliary is a resource, so it just triggers.
Yeah.
But what you could do is, say you had a construction and you want it to do something else. It will let you take another action with it. So you could do your build, but you could also do, say, attacks or a trade.
or expand into territory.
Well, the expand needs the builder.
Ah, okay.
So you are using these things up. So each of them is a resource that you're using up.
Mercury used during a trade or tax gives you plus merchant. You gain 2 coin if you have roads and settlements in at least 2 regions, and when taxing, all your settlements are considered connected.
Yes.
And Mars gives you plus 2 auxiliary when conquering, or plus 2 when you're raising legions. I think I'm going to go ahead and keep Mercury.
Okay.
So possibly a bit of taxation on the go.
Well, you will have to begin reconquering the 4 different locations down the bottom of the board, but that's no bad thing. All right, so I will start by spending this. So it's got a fish on it. So as a free action, I can bribe one of my advisors. So who would I like to bribe? Who's useful? So when taking an expand action, gain region's resource. After taking an expand action, trigger the production ability of 1 owned building. Ooh, that could be very useful later on. When building, Esquilins or Calais gain jewels. I don't think we have that in this particular game, because the buildings actually change game to game. Nicodemus is so dice with a fish gain the scroll, which is basically it turns it into any worker. And then trading gain 1 additional coin extra for each jewel used in the trade. So I think I'm going to start by bribing Nicodemus. So I bribe him with my 1 fish. I have a wood, and I can build something. So I think I'm actually going to build a training ground.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll cost me the wood off the dice, a brick, and a wood from here.
Mm-hmm.
And then where would I like to build it? I think I'm going to build a little bit further away from you. Now, you have to build things orthogonally on this board, so I'll just go up to here for a T and a G. If I built right next to one of Jerry's other buildings, I would start triggering his production cycles, but I would gain a senator for having built next to him. So that's action 1, done, dusted, and out the way. So I'll turn that to the pool.
Okay. I'm just going to store what's on this dice. So that's a brick and 2 wood.
Not a bad idea.
As my action.
Yep. So I now have this dice. The only reason I took this dice is because it had the jewel on it. The other stuff I don't really want to use. So I'm just going to free action to bribe Nicodemus, and now his first ability is active for me. I could take some of the other actions, but I don't really need to. Trade, I have nothing that I really want to trade. Tax, I don't have any regions yet. And Conquer, I can't do because I don't have legions yet. I do have an auxiliary, so I could be cheeky and try to do this, but I don't have a legion to garrison afterwards.
You have a legion, a raised legion on there, and you've just built a training ground.
Actually, fair point. Yeah, I will raise a legion then from my own one. So
I would.
If you pass me the training grounds, I'll show it off to everybody. So this is one of the buildings we're allowed to build. So it has cost me this to build. That's the shape it has to go on the board. That's the abbreviation that you write on the board. And so I can gain 1 legion by using a raise legion action, which I will do. So that gives me 1 of these, which is nice. That means I can maybe start heading out and grabbing some areas. Because I built that, it has to go on there.
That's your foreman wandering
Yes.
about.
Yes, and that basically blocks off Jerry from building that unless he uses an architect. So you have 2 versions of the builder, the regular builder and the architect. The regular builder turns up and there's a foreman there. The foreman's going to turn to him and go, no, we're working here, go away. If the architect turns up, it's just like, oh, yes, sir, not a problem, sir, you can build this, sir.
It's one way of doing it.
Yep. So that is spent.
Yep.
And now at the end of the round, this will flip back around to me. So now I'm the one who's rolling this and picking from the pool first. So let's see what we get. Interesting. So we've got some stone, architecto. So the question is, what's really useful to me right now? What I still have is a wood and a fish. So I think what I'd like to grab is... yeah, I'll grab this. And then the rest go into the central pool for Jerry to choose from.
It's very decent of you. So, I think I will take that. So jewelry, architect, and raise the legion.
Yep. I will grab this, which will give me another wood and an architect.
And I will... yeah, I'll take that.
Cool.
So, fish and some stone.
So for my first action, I am literally just going to be storing the brick that I just got. And that is all I really want to do.
Okie dokie. I am going to send my architect out to build me a Jewelers.
Jewelers. Okay, so let's have a look and see what the jeweler does. So it's costing you 2 wood and a brick. Whenever it activates, it will gain you jewelry, and if it's adjacent to at least one opponent urban building, you'll gain an additional 2 victory points at the end of the game.
Do I need to bribe before or after as a free action?
Free
Or
actions
doesn't
can
matter?
be taken at any point during your turn.
Grand. So in that case, that will wipe out that.
Uh-huh.
Jeweler is a delightful Z shape.
Yeah, it's an S. And you can flip and rotate them any which way you so desire. Cool.
It doesn't have anything on action, but because I've just built that, it does activate my shrine.
Your shrine,
But the shrine doesn't have a production slot. That's all right. I'll also use the jewelry on this to bribe, and I will bribe Martalius, who's a delightful chap who helps acquire goods that I need.
I see.
In game terms, this allows me to flip a blue or yellow die to any face for the low cost of a fish or bit of jewelry.
That's quite clever. Quite clever. So for my second action, I'm going to use my architect with the wood that's on the dice, the wood that's in my store, and the brick to build myself another training ground, which I will build. Which way would I like to build? I'll build this way. And that triggers this one for me. So I will gain another legion, which will be very useful soon.
Good.
Yes.
So, I'm going to bribe Palinurus with a fish.
I see.
And that allows me to avoid having to pay fish when I move my overseer.
I see. So your overseer can basically walk anywhere they so desire then?
Yeah. So your first movement every turn before you begin construction is free.
Yeah.
But then after that, it costs you a fish to move. And you always move from a building to an adjacent building.
Yes.
So...
And adjacent is orthogonal, so no jumping through corners.
Yeah. And then I'm also, because I'm feeling a bit frisky, I'm going to raise a legion.
I see.
So I don't actually have any training grounds, but you can raise them using your opponents, and you can raise up to 3.
Yes.
But every one I use of his, he will get a coin for. So you're going to get 2 coin, but I get 2 legions.
Well, thank you for using Justin's Warrior Emporium. Hopefully the Gallic warriors have sent you don't stab you in your sleep.
They won't. I'll be sending them out immediately to be massacred by somebody else foreign. That's key. Never let any foreigner attack another foreigner who speaks the same language. Thus, Pax Romana is born. And that's me.
That's you. Well, you get the proconsul, and it is your turn to roll, sir.
Okie dokie. Now, builder and architect, some wood, some wild cards, a lot of wild cards, and then a lot of legionaries and stuff. Isn't that interesting, Mr. Bond? So, the basket, as far as a wild card goes, can be used as any resource except jewelry.
Yep. However, you can also use it to bribe one of your advisors instead of a fish or jewels.
And the scroll can be used as any worker.
Yep. So it can be a legionary, a builder, an architect, or a merchant.
So that's all quite interesting. It has possibilities.
Indeed.
So I may just take that actually for novelty value.
Okay.
And then you can choose from those remaining.
So what do I really want to grab? I think I need some brick. So I will take the brick with a builder.
Good. I'm going to take that.
Okay.
I think.
For myself, it's much of a muchness. They're both the same face, so I will take that.
Okay.
Yep. So you get to activate first because you're a pro console.
So, from where I am, I can make a... Well, I'll have to move if I want to.
Now, one thing we forgot to do. You see, because you built a jeweler, your foreman would have moved from the shrine to the jeweler.
Do I want to move first? I kind of feel like I do. So I will. I'm going to move into my jewelers, actually.
Okay.
And then I am going to activate my architect to make me a brick maker.
Do you have the resources?
Yeah. There's one wood there and one wood there.
And a brick maker is wood and wood, yeah? Cool.
So, bush, that goes.
Yep.
And that
Now, the
can
question
go
is,
away.
can you fit the brick maker in there? Because he is an S.
He is, but I can do it adjacent.
Ah, yes, so you're...
So I'll just build it on the other side.
Inside the wall to outside the wall, yep, makes perfect sense.
I don't want brick makers inside the walls of Rome with their mud and their peasant ways. That would just be terrible. So I'm going to go that way to make my brick maker.
Yep, and I would have had to move to here to build that.
Now, it is adjacent to my jewelers.
Yes.
So it will...
Your jeweler will trigger, and you will gain one jewel for that.
Single jewel.
Yes.
Delightful. Lovely. Brickmaker doesn't give me anything else this turn, no. So that's okay.
Okay, so I will activate. I have a jewel on here. I will use it to continue bribing Nicodemus.
Need to move my little
and
fella.
then I will use the rest of it for a raise legion to get me 2 more legionaries. And that'll be me done. Oh, you want to be on?
Move me to my brick.
Yes.
So I think I will use my basket to bribe someone. And I will continue to bribe Martilius because he's a good egg. And he tells me he can get me some sweet, sweet stuff if I just pay him a bit more.
Yeah, yeah. Now, if you bribe them the 5th time, there's a 5th slot on there that gets you victory points as well, whenever you've maxed it out. But you have to bribe them 5 times, not 4 times. Something important to remember.
As far as workers go, I suppose I could use him as a legionnaire.
Yeah, you could.
And raise myself another 2 legions.
Yeah, trust me, I will take your money all day long to make legions.
That's fine. We're all fine here.
Yep. And
That's
then
me.
For my last one, I'm going to store the brick, and then I'm going to go conquer. So, brick in there. And then where do I want to go and conquer is the question. So I've got a strength of 4. So if I really wanted to, I could conquer like 2 villages here for a couple of brick.
In Egypt.
I could go into Egypt land. I could also conquer 2 here to gain some wood. I could conquer 1 here and 1 here if I so wanted, which would gain me fish. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to go and conquer a little village out here.
Push into Asia.
Yeah, I'm going to push into Asia, so I get 1 to my my glory track for having conquered somewhere in Asia. I, however, do have to garrison a legion down in Asia, but this is totally fine. And that, I believe, ends my turn. So, I become the proconsul.
You do.
Time to roll. Okay, let's see. What all do we have here? Some goody good stuff here. So, let's have a close look. So, stone is important for building roads. I have some brick. If I had some wood, I could build another training ground and really start ramping up production. In fact, yeah, I'm going to take the wood with the builder.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll let Jerry have the rest.
Okay. So, what have we got? Some baskets, which are wild cards, jewelry and raisin legions. I think I'll take red.
Okay. For myself then, what would I dearly like to have? I think I'll grab the other yellow because it's got some stone on there and it's got some fish on there, and the fish now for me allows me to have any worker I desire,
Oh, that's good.
which is very, very useful. So for my first trick, I will build an additional training ground. Or would it be worth building an engineering post? It doesn't have production. Oh no, it does. It has the Raised Legion, but it doesn't have a regular production. No, tell you what, I'm just going to build another training ground.
Okay.
And I'm going to build it out this way. So that will generate me another Legion.
I'll go ahead and take one of these blue dice, by the way.
Oh, sorry. So, well, that's now spent. And I've used the brick from here. And that's my action.
Okie dokie. I will spend my jewel on that to flip this to any face.
That's very useful.
Yep. And since I'm here, I'll also raise 3 legions.
Okay, and I will gain 3 coins.
That's me.
Okay. So for my one, I'm going to store the stone and bribe with the fish. So I now have the second thing for Nicodemus. And I've got some stone, which will come in useful a little bit later. I then can raise my own 3 legions, bringing me up 1, 2, 3, which is excellent. And then your second action, Jerry.
I'm just going to store my brick and 2 wood.
Okay. Now you still could like conquer if you so desired.
I could. Do I want to?
Well,
Maybe
conquer,
not.
tax, or trade you can do.
No.
Okay, if you're happy enough,
Yeah,
you become the proconsul.
I do. It's good to be me.
Anything delightful?
All the resources this turn.
Excellent.
Somebody's been fishing quite a lot as well. I think I'll take that red dice.
Okay.
Nope. I'll flip them over.
I will grab this one with the fish, because that gives me any worker I want.
And let me see. Yeah, I'll have that.
Oh, and I've been forgetting to mark how many buildings I've built. So I've currently got 1, 2, and 3. And I think you forgot as well.
Yeah, I have. I also have 3.
Okay.
Which will soon be 4, I hope. So
I'll grab one of these.
I don't actually need to move, which is nice. But what I will do is I'll use my builder to build myself an urban market.
Okay.
So
let me grab the market here. We'll see what it does for us. So, a market. You'll instantly gain a jewel if you're adjacent to at least one army building.
I am.
You will then have the production for it will gain you either 2 wood, 2 stone, or 2 brick, and then you may spend any 3 resources to gain a jewel. That's pretty hefty.
It is.
And where are you building this wonderful, miraculous thing?
It will slot just in there.
Excellent. So that will
that's-
trigger the production on my training grounds. So I will get an additional garrison. However, you will gain a centre.
I will
building
gain a
one
centre.
next to me.
Yeah. So that's nice.
Yeah, that's quite lovely.
Is that your go?
So, on to me then. I think, so I'm going to use my blue dice, and I'm going to store everything that's on it. So there's a brick and 2 wood.
Mm-hmm.
And then I now have a grand total of a power of 8 for my garrisons.
Mm-hmm.
So I will capture here.
Mm-hmm.
And I will capture here.
Mm-hmm.
And that will net me another 4 on my glory. And that actually brings me up to the first Nero card.
Mm-hmm.
Now the game ends whenever these cards are gone. So that's an additional 7 victory points for me at the end of the game, which is great. And I think I am good with that.
Okie dokie. So, I'm going to bribe Martellius.
Uh-huh.
And I shall bribe him twice
I see.
with my 2 fishies,
Yep. There's no limit to how many times you can use it.
which means he now can flip any dice, red, yellow, or blue, to any facing.
That's very, very good.
And then I feel like I should conquer somewhere.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I'm way out there in Asia.
Yeah, it's good to be out there in Asia.
Mm.
So,
What segment of the empire tempts you, Mr. Jerry? Oh, and I almost forgot, because I captured 2, I then have to garrison
garrison as
2.
well. I imagine you have to conquer one at a time.
No, so long as you have the cumulative power to do it, you can conquer as many of these as you want. So
Oh, that
this is
is
why
interesting.
I worked it out last time. So I had garrison 1, I was on 9, that gave me 8. So that cost 3 and 5 to make a total of 8, so I captured both.
No, I mean different areas.
Oh, different areas? I would assume so, yeah.
Yeah. So with that in mind, I do have auxiliary troops,
Uh-huh.
which will bring me up to 8. So that will be, if I go into Swiss Alpine Gaul,
Uh-huh.
1, 4.
And 8, yeah,
8.
nicely done. And then garrison 3 units.
Yep. So 1, 2, 3 are garrisoned,
Uh-huh.
and I gain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Yep.
which will get me a Nero card.
I'm not sure if it's the first person to hit it or just whoever hits it, but yeah, I guess so. It would give you one. So there you go, Mr. Jerry. So for my second action, I think it's time to start building some different things.
Mm-hmm.
So think, what would I like to do? What would I like to do? I think, so I'm going to go for a construct action.
Mm-hmm.
My overseer will move to here. And then I'm actually going to build an engineering post.
Mm-hmm.
So it's another square. So there, E, P.
Mm-hmm.
So it cost me 1 wood and 2 brick. Oh damn, I don't have it.
Oh dear.
Yes. I have made a full pass. So what I need to do is, it won't be that. It'll be another training ground. And that'll do. We'll forget that. Because I do have what's needed for that. So that's 2 wood and 1 brick.
Mm-hmm.
And I will store 1 wood. And I will bribe Nicodemus to finish him off. And that'll do me.
Must remember to track my buildings.
Yep, that's another building for me as well.
Okay. Crew console.
Yep, so my roll. Yep. Oh, that's very nice. So this roll is interesting because there's plenty of resources and plenty of interesting things.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what I would like to do, I'm going to grab the 2 stone off this with a builder.
Mm-hmm.
And Jerry can choose from the rest.
I will also take 2 stone.
Okay. I don't need any of that, I don't think. So I think I'll grab this with the jewelry on it for my second.
And I think I will have fish and wood.
Okay. So for my first action, I'll discard this dice, and I'm going to be going for an expand action. So I've got a grand total of 3 stone. So I'll get rid of this stone. And I am just going to start building roads from out here. So 1, 2, and 3. So that will grant me 6, 3, 4, 5, 6 on my legacy, plus an additional 2 because I built more than 2 roads in one go. And that's that action, except for the fact that each of those is going to generate me a jewel.
Ooh.
Which is quite tasty.
Okay. I'm going to move back into the forum before I begin constructing. And then I think I will build a market.
Okay.
Will I?
Well, the market you already have is doing some good stuff for you.
Yeah, I'm going to build a market. So it's going to cost me 1 wood, 1 brick. I suppose I can always use the fish on that as well as a bribe before I go.
Yeah. Well, before or after, it makes
So
a little difference.
I'll bribe Polynerus again. And I'm going to build my market. Oh, I can't build across 2 hills, can I?
No, you cannot. It has to be across 1 hill and marsh.
So if I go that way instead,
Okay.
that makes
So
it.
that will activate both of my trading grounds.
Yep.
To give me an additional 2 military might. Thank you very much. However, you will gain senator.
And I'll also gain jewelry for being adjacent to.
How are you gaining jewelry?
Because that's what the market does.
Adjacent to an army building. Yeah, very clever.
Is it only 1 senator, or is it 1 senator
You're
per
only allowed 1
building
senator per build.
turn? Okay. So that puts me up to 2 senators. Thank you very much.
Very, very cool.
You'll need to move me across to my market.
Yes, of course. Right, so my round then. So I've got a jewel which I'll store. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tax my locals for an additional 3 jewels.
Ooh.
You know, just raiding all of the gold and jade out of Asia.
It's a way to do it.
Yep. And that'll be me done.
I am going to conquer, I
Okay.
think. I have 4. I require 4 to conquer this part of Asia Minor.
Okay. So that'll gain you 2 additional glory. Funsies dunsies.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, so proconsul. Roll away.
So, wood, basket, builders, fish. There's a lot going on. I'm going to pop a sender
Okay,
to allow me to take 2 dice at once.
excellent.
And I'm going to take these 2.
Okay. For myself, I will take this one with the fish, this one with the merchant. Because I think that will give me 2 very useful rounds.
And then I'm going to move into my marketplace. And I think this would be a terrific place to build. No. Can I do that? Yeah. So I'm going to build a brick maker.
Okay. And now don't forget, Brickmaker has to be completely in the marshlands.
Yep, that's fine.
Yep. Oh, very nice. And so you'll activate your market.
So I gain 2 of something, and I think I want to gain. I'm going to gain 2 stone this
Okay.
time.
I assume you're not using the second part where you can trade for jewels?
No, not at the moment.
Okay. So for myself, I will use the fish to bribe. I will store the wood. Not using the builder. The fish allows me to have a merchant on this. So I will be using the merchant for a trade action. So I'm going to trade away 1, 2, 3 jewels. So for each of the resources, they generate me 1 coin. If it's a merchant with jewels, you gain +1 for each jewel used. So that means 6. And when trading, gain 1 additional coin for each jewel used again. So a grand total of 9
Cool.
victory points. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I will take the last card. I believe we finish this round up and then we're done.
Okie dokie.
You maybe want to double check the rules.
Okay. Yeah, finish the current round, play 1 final round, and then score.
Okay, cool.
So,
it is game over at the minute, but we will have 1 more flip of the Pro Console, 1 more round of drafting, 1 more round of actions. Cool.
so I'm going to use those 2 baskets as fish to bribe Palinurus.
Very nice. I'm going to use my merchant to trade again with another 3 jewels for another 9 victory points. So, 1, oh, wrong one. take you away. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Awesome sauce.
Okie doke. And
Pro console.
you get
Right.
through that.
Okay, they all roll out. Let's see what we've got. Don't need you, don't need you. Don't really think I want to build anything else, so I think I will take. I will take this. So I'll take the red dice, and Jerry can choose from the rest.
Okie doke. I'll take that. And back to you.
Yes. I think I'd like this. What would you like to take?
I'll take that.
Okay. So, for my first action, I will raise legions. So I will generate 1, 2, 3. And that's all I'm doing with that dice.
Okie dokie. So, I'm going to use stone to expand.
Ah, building roads?
Yep,
Okay.
because all roads lead to Rome. That's what they tell me. So, if I go 1, 2, 3.
And that's all? But you have to do it in a single region, I believe.
You have to do it in a single region. Okay.
I believe. I could be
That's
wrong.
fine. That still leaves me with a stone. I can do that another time.
And so you'll gain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 of the legacy.
Okie dokie.
Very nice. So for my final action, I will do a little bribery. And then I am going to go for a conquer. So I've got a grand total of 15 minus 3 becomes a grand power of 12. So I'm just going to attack down here. It's got a total of 11, so I can take everywhere. So we, and we. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that grants me 6 on the glory track. And 6. Cool. And that's me completely done.
Okie dokie. So, will I build? Can I build in a place that is advantageous? Yeah, let's try this and see how it works. Because you never know. You never know. I'm going to build a training ground.
Okay.
I'll just build it right into there.
Okay, cool. So your brick maker will activate. and your market will activate.
So get a brick. And what do I get for the market?
2 of wood, brick, or stone.
Okie dokie. And then I can spend 3 of those to gain jewellery.
Yes.
So I'll get 2 brick,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll blow the bricks for another jewel.
Cooly.
And then, is a trade action free?
Unfortunately, no. The trade action is one of the main actions on the board.
Oh, that's a shame.
Mm-hmm. But I think that ends the game. So now we need to tally up our victory point. Which, if you have a look at Jerry's board, you see the red point down the side of his board there? That's where we're going to be gathering up all of the numbers. So, first things first, coins track.
Coins first, yeah.
You are poor.
That's because I've been rebuilding Rome.
Well, I have a grand total of 25.
I have 0.
All right, buildings. I've got 4.
I have 7. I forgot to mark one down.
For legacy, I have 8.
Legacy, I also have 8.
Glory, I have 11.
And Glory, I have 8.
From our advisors, I gain an additional 4.
I gain 8.
Manufacturing buildings. So, +1 per adjacent brick maker. Do you have any brick makers knocked side by side?
No, unfortunately not.
Okay. The jeweler is if adjacent to at least one opponent urban building. I didn't build any urban buildings.
No.
So, then on to the urban ones. So the villa, if adjacent to at least 3 buildings. Did you build a villa? I don't think so.
No.
This one, the market doesn't have it.
Yep.
The shrine.
Yep.
So, if you want to read that one, just because it's getting further away from me.
Yep. So, you get it depending on the location of the shrine. So, if you build on Capitolinus, which I did, you get 3. Palantinus and Callias gets 2, and otherwise you get 1.
Okay.
So my shrine gives me 3.
The leisure, we didn't bother with leisure.
No.
From the army, what do they say?
So the training ground
Yep, it's all we built.
will get you 1 for every additional army building which isn't a training ground.
Nothing?
So, nothing.
Okay. Then it's from the Nero bonus cards. So I got a grand total of 9 from that.
I got 4.
And then I have a grand total of 14 legionaries. So that becomes a 7.
Yep. I have 7 becomes a 4.
And I have no senators.
And I have 2, so I got 1 for that.
Right, now we just tally up. So 12. $68.
43.
Damn.
It's all your money, all your
Yeah.
gold hoarding.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, I'm meant to be a merchant, but who needs to like buy and sell stuff when you can just go to Asia, steal all the jewels, and then sell it all in Rome?
It is a way to do it.
It's a very, very fun game. I quite like it. It's really interesting the different paths to victory you have depending on your character, and figuring out what the best way to do it is really, really crucial to this game.
And even this, because this is the 2-player game.
Yeah, with a smaller map of Rome.
With the smaller map. But even if you're only playing 2 players, you have the option of putting an AI deck in. But if you're playing...
with that.
If you're playing larger, you've got
a
the
bigger
map.
version of Rome, more marshland, and like resources dotted about. So if you build on those resources, you get them, which is very, very interesting.
So that is the basic Roman rule. However, they are coming to Kickstarter with a new gladiatorial combat edition.
Well, Jerry, I will allow you to show it underneath your side of the table.
That's very decent of you.
Because it'll just be a little easier.
So first off, as an addition to Rome, there's a new region, Britannia, and there's also the Colosseum. And we have a two-sided. So if you're playing solo or two-player with Seneca as the AI, he also has his own track. Otherwise, you have your victories. And this is quite interesting because when you're fighting, when you're assigning a gladiator, you're essentially playing noughts and crosses.
Or tic-tac-toe.
Noughts and crosses, because I wasn't born in America. And if you manage to actually win, so you choose a nought or a cross as your gladiatorial school. If you do your line of 3, then you gain a reward in cash money for the owner. And then you wipe the grid clean. That's that game over. If you fill the grid to stalemate, then the last person to place something gets jewelry, essentially like a bit of a wager. And again, you clear it. But as you can see, there are various, like the larger board, various additional bonuses for being on there, because you can get senators, you can get iron and stone and all sorts.
Yeah.
So that's the Colosseum, which presumably tacks onto the big board.
Yeah.
There is a new, I suppose, character, yeah, a new person to play, and this is Rodarius, a retired gladiator, veteran of the Colosseum, who can call in favours from his old masters to get ahead. So the rest of the board is laid out exactly the same as our other board, but they have their own set of advisors, with some interesting things like gladiatorial buildings cost 1 fewer resource to construct. Iron can be used as a resource when taking construct or expand options, things like that. There are a host of new buildings and cards. So if we start with the blueprints for the buildings, we have new religious temple, which has to be built entirely on marshland, so you go out into the terrible place and do it. There are the 2 gladiatorial buildings. So once somebody has constructed the arena, so once the Colosseum is out, all players may construct a ludus, so a training ground for your gladiators. It's free for the person who built the Colosseum.
It does look pretty expensive to build.
2 brick, 1 stone, 2 wood. It's not that bad. But yeah, other players can build the ludus but have to pay for it. You don't move your foreman, and the ludus allows you to start assigning gladiators to that gladiatorial Colosseum game. So it becomes a mini game within the game itself.
That's quite nice.
We also have a new military building in the form of the stables, so your equites, a caster and a smelter. So these introduce iron as a resource, which we haven't had before. And obviously, if you have your smelter, you want to cast your smelting. So you can get nice jewellery out of it. And lastly, and I don't know if this is just for the Kickstarter, but you have a board game club as a new leisure build, which, as we can see from the excavations of Rome, Rome was apparently built on these dice.
Yeah.
So that's quite nice. You can gain a senator immediately, and if you activate it, you spend a fish to construct an available building at a 1 resource discount. So people are happy when they're playing games. On top of all of that, there are new gods. So Vulcan and Pluto are added. There's a new set of cards for Seneca if you're playing either the AI solo game or if you're adding him into your 2-player games to throw a spanner in the works. And finally, we have new scoring from the Colosseum. So entertain populace. At the end of the game, the owner with the most buildings adjacent to Ludi gets 3. The winning school, so the owner of the most wins in the Colosseum, also will gain 3. And if tied on wins, earlier victory breaks ties. And last but no means least, the first arena awarded at the time of building. So whoever builds the first Colosseum in Rome gets to be the big dog.
Yeah. It's actually quite interesting because you can build more than 1 Colosseum in Rome then, if you so desire.
If you want. You don't, not every arena has to be the Colosseum. They can be smaller, I suppose, peninsular or peripheral little Colosseums.
Yeah.
There's also a new dice, which adds in the Gladiator and also new public advisors.
Yeah.
Now, there are 3 of these and they're double-sided, which leads us to believe that if somebody is playing the Gladiator in the expansion, that these then can be supplemented for one of your current advisors on your board to allow you access to some of the things that the Gladiator is going to get on his.
Possibly. We'll have to wait and see for the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
But whenever it launches, make sure and check it out, because this was really fun to play.
Yeah.
You know, again, for me, it tickles my tactical brain, because I'm thinking, okay, what's the most efficient way for me to actually earn those victory points?
Yeah.
What's Jerry taking from that resource pool that I could have wanted? What ways do I have to actually get those resources in other ways?
Yeah, it's a competitive game where you're not actively impeding your opponent, with the exception of where you build. If somebody wanted to build something and they happen to get there first.
Yeah, or if they happen to take something out of the pool first. But that just leaves you thinking, okay, I have to think of something else to do.
But at no point are you knocking your opponent back.
Yeah, there's no take that mechanic.
So you don't end up in a position where it's untenable to win simply because all your military has been destroyed or all the ground is gone. So Roman Roll is really interesting building game, and then I think this gladiatorial Colosseum expansion should add some interesting new mechanics to it.
All right, well, everybody, I tell you what, get your comments down below. Tell us what you think of the core game, and tell us, are you looking forward to the new Kickstarter for the gladiatorial expansion? Myself and Jerry will move on. We'll see you again soon.
We hope you enjoyed this Let's Play. Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.